Good evening, folks. Good evening, folks. It's your bro, Richie here. So, good evening to you all. Today's video is now part 10 on the, Cadillac Dorado. Today's video is now the turn of the 10th generation. Pull up. There we go. Always important to stay hydrated, to drink water. So drink water, always important to stay hydrated. So, anyways, today's video is now part 10. So yeah, part 10 on the Cadillac Eldorado. Today's now part 10 on the Cadillac Eldorado. Today's video is now the turn of the 10th. Today's video is now the turn of the 10th generation, aka the Gen 10 Eldorado. Eldorado from 1979 to 1985. Okay, so before I get started, God, can't even talk. Sorry about that. So before I get started, there we go. Make sure you all like the video, subscribe, comment down, excuse me, comment down below what you guys think. So comment down below what you guys think. Hit the notification bell, and also that I don't make brand uploads. Okay, so it's over 2 minutes. So without any further ado, let's begin. There we go. Just right there. Sitting there is just uncomfortable. There we go. Much better. So before I get started, make sure you all like the video, subscribe, comment down below, excuse me, comment down below what you guys think. Hit the notification bell, and hit all so you let it avoid I make brand new uploads. Okay, so without any further ado, let's begin. So the Gen 10 Eldorado from 1979. So from 1979 to 1985. So from 1979 to 1985. So that's 1980. So it's 1979. So 1979 to 1985. Okay, so overviews first, as always. So let's begin. So production was between the years 79 to 85. So 79 to 85. So from 79 to 85. So 85. Assembly is at the Linden Assembly. In the city of Linden, in the southeastern Union County, New Jersey. So New Jersey, part of the New York metropolitan area, located about 13 miles southwest, 13 miles southwest of Manhattan. So 13 miles southwest of Manhattan and bordering Staten Island. So Staten Island, a borough of New York City across the Arthur Kill. So yeah, assembly is at the Linden Assembly in the city of Linden, Union County, New Jersey. Say Union County, New Jersey. Say New Jersey. So for those who don't know what the union was not union sorry what the Linden Assembly is, it was a GM automobile factory in Linden, Union County, New Jersey. So Linden, Union County, New Jersey, in the U.S. The plant operated for um, 68 years from 1937 to my year 2005, and made cars, trucks, and SUVs for various GM automotive divisions. Okay, so yeah, assembly is at the Linden Assembly in Linden, Union County, New Jersey. Body and chassis next. Body style, two types you can choose from. Is that from a two-door is either a coupe or convertible, and the convertible was only for 1984 to 1985. So from 1984 to 85 only. Layout is longitudinal front wheel drive. Are you kidding me now? Rear wheel drive or all wheel drive could have been good, but front wheel drive, no. Honestly, like, why? So longitudinal front wheel drive. Platform is an e-body, and it's related to both the Buick Riviera, and it's related to both the Buick Riviera and so Buick Riviera, and the Oldsmobile Tornado. Powertrain is next. So starting off with the first one is engines. Um, so starting off with his engines. So for the first one we got is a V6. So it's a 4.1 liter LC4 V6. I believe it's a 250. I think in cubic inches. I'm not too sure, but I think it's a 250. I don't know. So yeah, 4.1 liter LC4 V6. And now we got the rest of the V8s. So there's 5 motors. One of them is a V6. The others are just V8s. So all 4 of them are V8s. So we got another 4.1 liter. So 4.1 liter. But this time for the V8, it's a HT 4100 V8 motor. And then we got a 5.7 liter Rocket 350. And another 5.7 liter 350, but this time it's an LF9 diesel. So a diesel V8. Are you joking? And then we got the mighty um 6 liter 368. A 6 liter Cadillac 368 L6 L so a 6 liter Cadillac 368 gasoline L62 V8 motor. Transmission two taps. So transmission. So let's see what we got. So two types you can choose from is either a 3-speed automatic from 1979 to 1981. So from 1979 to 1981, and we got a 4-speed. So we got a 4-speed. Now presumably it might be a manual. I think, I don't know, or automatic. I'm not 100% too sure, but I believe it's a manual with electronic overdrive from 1982 to 1980. So from 1982 to 1985. Dimensions is next. Wheelbase was 2890 2896 millimeters, close to 2900 millimeters if you round it up, so an extra 4 millimeters more if you add it up to the equation, which brings it up to a total of 114 inches, approximately dead on that wheelbase. Length between 5182 to 5194 millimeters. 204 to 204.5 inches, and the reason being why there's a 12 millimeter 0.5 inch difference there. That's because the one from 1979 to 1981 was shorter than the one in 82 to 85. And then we got the width. So in 79 to 81, it was at 1800 1814 millimeters, 71.4 inches. So I'll just whisper 71.4 inches. That was in 79 to 81. So then from 1982 to 1983. So from 82 to 83, it goes in that an extra 2 millimeters, 0.1 inches, so it's 1816 millimeters, 71.5 inches. That was in 82 to 83. Then from 84 to 85, it goes in that at the most narrowest at 1793 millimeters. So 1793 millimeters, 70.6 inches. And for height, it's between 1377 to 1379 millimeters, 54.2 to 54.3 inches. So 2 millimeter difference there, and 0.1 inch difference there as well. Reason being is because the one in 1979 to 1981 was shorter than the one in 1982 to 1985, which that one was higher. Anyways, moving on. Let's stop talking normally. Anyways, so moving on. The Gen 10 Eldorado debuted in 1979 close to 1980, so close to 1980, continuing. So at the end of the 70s, almost started very early in 1980s. Almost the start of the very early 80s. So that the Gen 10 Eldorado debuted in 1979. The end of the 70s, continuing to share the same platform with both the Buick Riviera and Oldsmobile Toronado. This model was successful in terms of annual production totals compared with both the 9th and 11th gen. The model set an all-time Eldorado sales record in 1984 of 77,000. So 77,000 806. That includes both coupes and convertibles, accounting for about 26%. So 26%, 26%. So 26% of all 26% of all Cadillacs sold, which means the remaining 74% weren't even which means the remaining 74% weren't even sold. I'm not sure why, but oh well. So accounting for about 26% of all Cadillacs sold. Next is design. So design, independent rear suspension was adopted for the first time. Helping retain both rear seat and trunk room in the smaller body. The most notable styling, the excuse me, the the most notable style, the most notable styling touch was an extreme notchback roofline. The Eldorado Biarritz model featured a stainless steel roof cap, similar to the Gen Gen 3, similar to the 5758 Gen 3 Eldorado Brougham, wider 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 chrome trim um, along the excuse me, along the top of both the doors and rear. Look, both the doors and rear quarter rear quarter glass. So rear quarter glass and additional fender spear moldings. The Eldorado featured frameless door glass, and the Eldorado featured frameless door glass and rear quarter rear quarter windows, similar to those from from nine. Hold up. The Eldorado. There we go. Much better. The Eldorado featured frameless door glass, so a glass around the door without like the frames, and the rear quarter windows similar to those from 67 from 1967 to 1970. So from 67 to 70 without a thick B pillar. Both the Eldorado and the redesigned 19 in the redesigned 1980 Cadillac Seville shared can't talk shared front wheel drive platforms. The cars weren't true hardtops. The cars themselves. They weren't true hardtops, as the rear quarter windows were fixed. The CTC Cadillac trip computer was available on the 79 Eldorado. First offered on the 78. First offered on the 78 Seville. It replaced the conventional analog speedo and fuel gauge with digital readouts. A 12 button panel mounted Above the climate control allowed for selection of operating allowed for a selection of operating data to be displayed on a so allowed for selection of operating data to be displayed on a third display located where the coolant temperature light would be on an analog cluster. Just as with the Seville, this option wasn't available with the diesel motor as it required interfacing to the gasoline 5.7 liter 350 motors analog ECU. 1980, the start of the very early 80s, saw a major electrical architecture change. So it saw a major electrical architecture change to support the new DEFI or DEFI 368 drivetrain, which was GM's first implementation of DFI, digital, not electronic, but digital fuel injection. This included a new electronic climate control interface, as well as an MPG 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 Sentinel display, which made the trip computer mostly superfluous. Superfluous. Um, superfluous. So superfluous. Whatever you want to call it. It's spelled SUPERFLUOUS. SUPER FLUOUS. So superfluous. I can't pronounce it correctly, but you know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, a digital speedometer cluster wasn't yet a so a digital speedometer cluster wasn't yet available with this new system, but would return for 81 along with a significant number of hardware improvements. Unlike the TC Speedo, the trip computer speedometer, this version used VFDs, vacuum fluorescent displays, and allowed for selection of either um, imperial or metric units, like kilometers an hour, miles an hour, all that kind of stuff. Um, so kilometers an hour, miles an hour, kilometers, miles, all that kind of stuff. So either imperial or metric units. This option was offered. This option was offered on both the Eldorado and Seville through 1985. Next up, we got is the motors. The Gen 10 Eldorado was available with multiple motor variants, four gasoline and one diesel option. In in 81 in 1981, Caddy Cadillac offered, so short for Cadillac, they offered a V6. They offered a V6 for the first time in its history, a 4.1. So they offered a V6 for the first time in its history, a 4.1 liter motor sourced from Buick. Starting off with the first one is a legendary 350. For 1979, the end of the 70s, the analog, the analog, not digital or direct. So the analog injected 5.7 liter 350 Oldsmobile gasoline V8 motor was carried over from the Seville model California emission models. We all know how it goes. California emission models differed in that they had a modified ECU, special catalyst system, like catalytic converter and all that kind of stuff, and an O2 sensor for closed loop operation. This would also be the standard California spec motor for 1980. Next is the 368. In 1980, in 1980, in 1980, the standard motor was a six liter Cadillac Cadillac. So 6 liter Cadillac 368 368 gasoline V8 motor. Not a diesel, but just a gasoline, so just a petrol, so just a petrol V8. This was a reduced stroke version of the Cadillac 425, 472, and 500 family. So 7 liters, 7.4 presumably, and then 8 liter or 8.2, I think, I don't know. Family. This was GM's first implementation of DFI digital fuel injection, and required an extensive redesign of the car's electrical architecture, which was shared with a newly designed Seville. Unlike the previous multi-port arrangement on the 5.7 liter 350 V8, this system used TBI, throttle body injection. So throttle body injection. Next is the 4.1 liter 482. Caddy unveiled the 4.1 liter high tech HT 4100 motor. The performance was modest relative to older gens of the El Dorado. It possessed 125 horsepower. It possessed 125 horsepower. 125 horsepower, powering the car to a top speed of 100, powering the car to a top speed of 106 miles an hour, and a 0 to 60 time of 13.8 seconds. God Lord, with fuel economy of 8.5 kilometers per liter, that's around, for important, that's like 24 miles per gallon. In the US it's like 20. In the US it's like 20 miles per gallon. This lightweight motor used in all full size 82 caddies, apart from the limos, was a wet sleeve design. It was a wet sleeve design that wet sleeve design that made it the cast iron headers to an aluminum engine block or motor block, whatever the heck you want to call it. Many HT 4100s were replaced under warranty due to so many parts going wrong, like so many parts that are not going well. Like let's say there's oil, so it's aluminum or aluminium oil pump failure. So oil pump failure, cam bearing displacement, intake gasket failure, scrubbing off the bimetal interface, weak aluminum block castings and bolts, pulling the aluminum threads from the aluminum threads from the engine block. Next we got is another 350 V8, but this time it's a diesel version of that one. Are you kidding me, man? Seriously, a 350 diesel? Whatever. Anyways, the Oldsmobile 5.7 liter Oldsmobile 350 diesel V8 motor was available as an option all years, but due to its both its unreliable reputation and the inversion of gasoline to diesel pricing during the early 80s. Its popularity waned. Initially, its popularity waned. Initially rated at 125 horsepower. Initially rated at 125 horsepower. Initially rated at 125 horsepower. That's the same as a Ford Fiesta, the 1 liter 3-cylinder EcoBoost motor with 125 horsepower. That was the one that was used in Top Gear against the VW Up and the Dacia Sandero or Dacia, whatever they want to call it. I call it Dacia Sandero because where I come from, we use the term Dacia, even in Romania because that's where it was built. It was when they were in Ukraine, the Top Gear trio, Hammond, May, and Clarkson, which at some point they might make a return to Top Gear. I highly doubt it, but we'll see if they will or not. But one way to find out, it'd be great if they would come back because they haven't been back since the 22nd series, where it all came to an end from there. Where it all came to an end for them. But I don't know. It makes the same power as that. So anyways, so it was when they were in Ukraine, and before the final challenge when they were headed into Chernobyl, where, for those who don't know about this, so for those who are new and want to learn a little bit more about the Chernobyl history, during the mid late 80s around there, I'll just tell you. So back in 1986, the reactor number 4 exploded there back in 1986. It released a huge radioactive cloud that was incredibly devastating, that for 20,000 years it would remain completely uninhabitable. In other words, no one, I mean nobody, not even one person could go there from the 20,000 of the 20,000 years. By then, things would probably have changed back then. We'll be in proper future times by then, like just long way ahead till that possibly changes. I don't know if it will, but there's some point it might not. We'll see. We'll never know. We'll never know if it will or not. But oh well, just, there might be some possibility it might be. Again, we'll never know because of how big that reactor, because of how big that explosion was from that reactor. There might not be a chance it would be all cleared up, but we'll never know if it will be or not. God knows if it will actually happen or not. And if it does, God, things will literally be changed. It needs to be like remodeled there and all that kind of stuff till it looks like new again. I don't know, but there might be a chance. But anyways, I'm gonna get too carried away. Sorry about that. The 350 diesel. So the initially rated at 120. Initially rated at 100. Excuse me. Hold up. Talking so much about the 84 Chernobyl explosion, I am getting carried away. Can't talk properly. There we go. So initially rated at 125. Initially rated at 125 horsepower. Both design changes and reduction in compression ratio reduced its output to 104.5 horsepower. A diesel equipped 1982 model with this motor had a top speed of just 96 miles an hour. So close to doing 100 miles an hour in a 0 to 60 time of an agonizing 17.3 seconds with fuel economy of 25 mpg. 17.3 seconds. Like, honestly, just why? For a diesel, I mean, it should have been faster than that because diesels these days produce high amounts of torque. I mean, literally. Well, it also depends on how much power that engine the car's engines would really have. I mean, depending on what car it would be, like manufacturer, make, year, different model, all that kind of stuff. It would depend on it will depend on all of that. Like many modern ones will just accelerate really well. Just older ones though, yeah, kind of, but it would handle the power of what well, it would handle the power that they got from when it was made. So from when it was made, it would all depend on that. Anyways, so diesel equipped 82 model, so 1982 model, with this motor had a top speed of 96 miles an hour and a 0 to 60 mile an hour time of 17.3 seconds, with a fuel economy of just 25 mpg. Next is the V8 64 is the V8 64 so V8 64 L62 for only for 1981. So for 1981 only, the El Dorado was fitted with a V8 6 with a V8 64 with a V8 64 VD. So VDV, variable variable displacement variant of the 6-liter 368 V8 motor. 4 solenoids fitted to the cylinder heads allowed deactivation of either two or of either two or four cylinders under light load conditions, and only when in high gear. So when you're in the highest gear, for example, like fourth, fifth, or even sixth speed, if they even made it. I don't think they did. No, they didn't. I believe they did that. So neither one of those higher gears, it would only work for that. So and only when in high gear. It's like in the top gear that you're in. The system was dropped due to both customer complaints regarding both vibration and failure to gain agreement with the NHTSA, National Highway National Highway National Highway Transport Safety Administration, on appropriate government fuel economy CAFE, so CAFE ratings, which stands for Corporate Average Fuel Economy Ratings, defeating the initial intent of the system. So defeating the initial intent of the system on CAFE exempt, so corporate average fuel economy exempt cars. So on CAFE exempt cars. So CAFE exempt on CAFE exempt cars. On CAFE exempt cars, such as the commercial chassis. The V864 system continued to be used through 1985. Continued to be used through 1985. The 368 motor itself was very durable. Its only mod being solenoids attached to the headers, but the electronic soft electronic software and VSG valve switchgear were the source of continued customer complaints. Since since MDM displace modulated displacement mode only operated when the gearbox was in only operated when the gearbox was in high gear. So so um so when the gearbox was in high gear, disabling the system was as simple as unplugging or disconnecting a single connector, leaving the motor to operate on all 8 cylinders, so to a full V8. Next is the V6, so more reliable V6, so V6 LC4, somewhat reliable, but a little bit lighter, just by 2 cylinders less. But oh well, won't make a difference in power output, whatever. So next we got this the V6 LC4 in pursuit of additional cafe credits the Buick LC4 LC4 V6 LC4 V6 was available for 81 and 82, so for the years 1981 to 82, so 81 to 82. I believe they still use the engines in the Buick Regal, I think. I'm not too sure. Anyway, so yeah, we got the V6. So we got the V6 LC4. In pursuit of additional cafe credits, the Buick LC4 V6. LC4 V6. So LC4 V6 was available. LC4 V6 was available for 1981. So both 1981 and 1982. So during the very early 80s, it came with a four barrel carburetor, and had an 8 to 1, so 8.0 to 1, 8.0 to 1, 8.0 to 1 compression ratio, and produced 4,000 RPM, 125 horsepower, and at 2,000 RPM, 205 pound-feet, 278 newton-meters of torque, as was the case with with diesel-equipped, so diesel Dorado models. The MPG Sentinel wasn't available, though a modified DSC, not dynamic stability control, but digital speedometer cluster was offered, which apparently removed the FR display, so the fuel range display. So it wouldn't show how much range you have, depending on the time, depending on how much fuel you have, will also depend on the range you can go at before the fuel runs out. So it doesn't have that kind of doesn't have that kind of display, which is a bit stupid and dumb if you ask me. Like, how would you know how much fuel you would have with the mileage of the range of how far you got left before it runs out if it's removed? I would rethink that if I were you, Caddy. Just just leave it there. Don't need to remove that. Jeez Louise. Anyways, so next we got is trim options. So for from 82 through so from 1982 through 1985. So from 1982 through 1985, Cadillac offered the Eldorado Touring Coupe with a heavier duty touring as they call suspension. So touring suspension, close ratio steering, aluminum alloy wheels, so that it can be painted, like brushed or just polished, probably, I don't know.